as we talk in-season. So is it no longer the in-season tournament? It's
Correct.
just is it the NBA Emirates Cup or just the Emirates Cup?
The Emirates NBA Cup.
Oh.
It is called the NBA Cup. Emirates is the title sponsor.
For now.
For now, yes. It'll probably be the Amazon NBA Cup in like 5 years.
The Emirates NBA Cup.
Yes, quite a mouthful. But then, I think we can just call it the NBA Cup.
And the other thing, Chris, you know what I was thinking about?
What's that?
Then, especially because it was the Lakers and LeBron, then you had people judging how they celebrated. It was just so awkward last season.
Yeah. It's it's still being worked out. They're still hashing it out in terms of like how they're supposed to feel about it and everything. And I think fans too are a little confused as to how invested we're supposed to be and how much we're supposed to want our teams to win and just all of it. I mean, it is just a bit confusing in general. But yes, we do have the official slate of games for the NBA Cup, the group play stage that is, and this is our guy Frankie Cardicelli. Of course, had it out first because he's just so incredible at these kind of things. He's got sources. Yeah. No national TV games for any of the Kings group stage games, which is definitely interesting. But on November 15th, we do open up the Emirates NBA Cup with the Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves will come to Golden One Center on November 15th at 7 p.m. to play the Sacramento Kings in the first game of group stage. I think that's a good thing if I can overanalyze the NBA Cup already. Probably a good thing to get the best team out of the way early. You definitely don't want to close and have that game be a must-win, obviously, against a really tough team. So if the Kings are going to lose, probably best to get it out of the way early so that way you at least know in those games coming up, if you do care about advancing to the groups or past the group stage, you know that you have to give those games a certain level of intensity. The second game will be on November 22nd in LA at the Intuit Dome. Maybe we can talk with Law Murray that day because the Kings will be playing the Clippers at 7:30 p.m. That is again on November 22nd. On November 29th, they will travel to Portland and play the Blazers. That'll be at 7 p.m. And then they will wrap up group stage play on December 3rd at home against the Houston Rockets at 7 p.m. So both home games, 7 p.m. You have a 7:30 game on the road against the Clippers and a 7 p.m. game on the road against the Blazers. Again, that is November 15th at home against the Timberwolves, November 22nd on the road against the Clippers, November 29th on the road against the Portland Trail Blazers, and December 3rd at home against the Houston Rockets to close out group stage play.
Interesting. What is this connection with the Timberwolves this season? I don't like this.
I don't either. I definitely don't either. There's not really much connecting them from a storyline perspective. Obviously, yeah, with them being the opening night as well, we're going to get pretty accustomed to it. And I guess in general, it's probably a good thing that the Kings do play. Again, same reason why I said they good for them to play the Timberwolves in the first stage of group play. Probably want to get those games against the T-Wolves out of the way early. The bad news, I guess, is that you play both of those Timberwolves games early in the season at home. And so the one or two that's later in the year potentially, again, we're still waiting for the entirety of the NBA schedule to be released. But you would assume that they are going to play at least one more game against the Timberwolves, and that'll be on the road. So, it's not great, but this is the problem with the Western Conference is every team you're going to play is going to be a tough one. And honestly, in terms of group stage play, pretty easy group. I don't really have a problem with the Kings having to beat out Minnesota. And, I think the Clippers are definitely going to take a step back. I think Portland's still going to be one of the worst teams in the West. And Houston, we'll see. We know that Houston gave this Kings team problems last year. Hopefully they can even things out.
After Houston, they got into it with the Warriors. And it's so funny. I mean, not that the Kings have anything to laugh about, but the Houston Rockets going at the Warriors about the last play-in spot. Warriors come out to play. And I think it was a guy who barely plays for the Rockets, and they proceed to lose. They lose to the Warriors. They don't even get into the play-in. And I think at the time, a lot of Kings fans were happy about that. Were you pretty surprised at all the money? And I know they spent big money in a weird way last season, the Rockets. Were you surprised, or have you been surprised that the Rockets have really done nothing this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit surprising. They did spend a lot last offseason to bring in Fred VanVleet. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, Dylan Brooks as well. They also added Steven Adams in the middle of last season, which went really under the radar because he was hurt. I think that they're still trying to figure it out. I mean, I think they're still banking on a lot of their young guys popping. Obviously, we mentioned Jalen Green earlier. Tari Eason's definitely a name that they're hoping takes a leap. Cam Whitmore as well is a name that they hope takes a leap. And then Jabari Smith Jr., the guy who was taken ahead of Keegan Murray. I think that the hope is that they have enough veterans to kind of help supply those young guys with a good enough roster to make a move. Mm-hmm. I think it's just what would the move be, and what would, I don't know, let's say they would have pursued, let's just throw it out there because it wasn't going to happen, but James Harden comes back to Houston.
Right.
I don't know really what that does for Houston. So I kind of feel like they're in a good spot now. Try and, get these young guys some playoff experience if you can. And then maybe 2-3 years from now, you do make the move where for some reason, Alperen Şengün's in trade rumors this offseason. Right. Maybe you do eventually flip one or two of those guys and you try and turn this thing into a real winner. But I like the direction Houston's going now. They were just a laughing stock for the past couple of years post James Harden. They get Ime in year one and start playing real serious basketball. So they're still early in their process too. And I think they're actually probably going to be fighting with the Warriors for that 10 seed again this year.
Coming up next, we've been very optimistic when it comes to Brock Purdy, but